Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into the science to decode exactly how our daily food choices are impacting our long-term health, our longevity, and honestly, even the planet we live on. Figuring out what to eat these days can feel totally overwhelming. It's like the rules aren't constantly changing, right? So, we're going to explore a fundamental question. Is your refrigerator currently acting as a biological minefield, or is it actually the ultimate medicine cabinet? Here's our agenda for today. We'll uncover the hidden diet danger, unpack ultra-processed foods, examine the processed meat link, look at the environmental cost, and finally, help you build your grocery store pharmacy. Let's dive right in. Part 1. The hidden diet danger, the unseen enemy within. To really get a grip on this danger, we need to frame our story around a single, invisible villain, a biological process that's quietly connecting so many of our modern diseases. Harvard Health calls this villain chronic inflammation. Now, a little intermittent inflammation is actually a good thing. It's just your immune system fighting off a bug or healing a paper cut. But the real problem starts when this inflammatory response just won't turn off. It persists day in and day out, even when there's no invader to fight. This persistent immune response acts as a central driver for severe illnesses. We're talking type 2 diabetes, heart disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and even Alzheimer's. And as it turns out, our diet is one of the biggest triggers. It's kind of like a tug-of-war happening on your plate. On one side, everyday foods actively accelerate this inflammatory fire. Things like refined carbs, sugary sodas, processed meats, and margarine. But on the flip side, we have an anti-inflammatory diet. These are protective, plant-rich foods like tomatoes, olive oil, leafy greens, and fatty fish that actually step in to fight that inflammation. They're absolutely packed with natural antioxidants. Moving on to part 2, unpacking ultra-processed foods, the NOVA classification. The biggest source of these modern inflammatory triggers actually comes from a category of foods that first flooded global markets back in the 1980s. To make sense of this, scientists use something called the NOVA classification system. According to NOVA, ultra-processed foods, or UPFs, are basically edible industrial experiments. They're made with ingredients you would rarely, if ever, keep in your home kitchen. Think high-fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, and isolated proteins. They go through heavy industrial processes like extrusion, and then they're pumped full of cosmetic additives to make them hyper-palatable and last forever on a shelf. They're super convenient, sure, but they severely lack essential fiber and protein, which completely scrambles how our bodies process them. And the epidemiological data on this is honestly pretty wild. A massive 2024 meta-analysis revealed that eating a high amount of these ultra-processed foods correlates with a 17% jump in the risk of cardiovascular disease. Another major study showed a 15% spike in all-cause mortality, which basically means your risk of dying prematurely from anything. By fueling up on foods engineered for maximum flavor and shelf life, we're inadvertently sending our metabolic systems into absolute overdrive. But there's good news. Regulators are fighting back against the worst of these industrial ingredients. Take artificial trans fats, for instance. The FDA waged a massive multi-year battle to pull partially hydrogenated oils right out of the food supply. In 2015, they officially declared these oils were no longer generally recognized as safe, and after a transition period, the final rules locked in by 2023. Pulling just this one highly processed fat from our food is a huge victory, preventing thousands of heart attacks every single year. All right, part 3, the processed meat link, evaluating carcinogenicity. It's not just the artificial fats we need to worry about. We also have to take a hard look at a staple in so many of our diets, processed meats. To really understand this, we turn to the heavy hitters, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, which is the specialized cancer agency of the World Health Organization. A working group of 22 global experts got together and reviewed over 800 different studies. They looked at diverse diets across global populations over 2 decades. And their findings? Pretty definitive. They classified processed meat, so your hot dogs, ham, sausages, bacon, as a group 1 carcinogen. That means there is sufficient, conclusive evidence that it causes colorectal cancer in humans. Red meat was classified just below that as a group 2A probable carcinogen, meaning there's strong mechanistic evidence, but slightly less conclusive human data. Here's the real kicker. The WHO experts concluded that for every 50-gram portion of processed meat you eat daily,
which, by the way, is just one hot dog or a couple slices of bacon, your risk of developing colorectal cancer jumps by an alarming 18%. Now, for any one person, the absolute risk might seem small, but when you zoom out and look at how much of the stuff the world eats, the public health impact is massive.
Which brings us to part 4, the environmental cost of UPFs, beyond human health. Because the deep roots of ultra-processed foods don't just mess with our biology, they leave a huge, often invisible footprint on our planet. Zooming out to the macro level for a second, our global food systems, which includes the complex manufacturing and long-distance transport needed for heavily processed foods, are responsible for a staggering 26% of all global greenhouse gas emissions. And when you look closer, the ecological picture gets even darker. Because they're designed to sit on shelves for months, an astonishing 83% of UPF packaging is made from plastics. Plus, the factory processing demands massive amounts of water. On top of that, these foods rely heavily on monoculture crops like corn and soy. Growing those at an industrial scale requires synthetic fertilizers and pesticides that leach into our waterways and wipe out vital biodiversity. Finally, part 5, your grocery store pharmacy. Actionable WHO-backed solutions. I know navigating this dietary and environmental minefield can feel super overwhelming, but you actually have so much power here. Let's talk about how to turn the grocery store from a danger zone into your personal pharmacy. We don't have to guess what a healthy diet looks like. The World Health Organization has reviewed all the global evidence and laid out clear, consensus guidelines to help us build a protective, anti-inflammatory diet that guards against chronic disease. Think of it like a simple, highly actionable daily checklist. Step 1. Aim for at least 400 grams or about 5 portions of fruits and veggies every day. Step 2. Keep your total fats under 30%, prioritizing healthy fats and strictly avoiding artificial trans fats. Step 3. Limit your salt to less than 5 grams daily to protect your heart. And Step 4. Slash those free sugars to under 10% of your calories. Harvard health researchers absolutely hit the nail on the head here. They point out that one of the most powerful tools to combat inflammation doesn't come from a pill bottle. It comes straight from the grocery store. Relying on a diet rich in whole, unprocessed foods acts as direct medicine. It lowers your risk of chronic illness and can dramatically improve your daily mood and quality of life. So, I want to leave you with this one provocative thought. The next time you swing open that fridge door or walk down a grocery aisle, will you see your food as just a simple source of calories? Or will you see it for what it truly is? Specific biological instructions you are about to send directly to your immune system. Thank you so much for exploring the science of our food with me today.